Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
That there is a certain way things can be done that would be beneficial for everybody. You just got to experiment. And so that's a great part of being elected and like running, is that you could actually put your experiments, ideas into action.
We are 1 week away from the deadline to file for Midland City Council's at-large seat. Among the candidates for the position, a 20-year-old Midland College student. We talk about the issues he plans on tackling in his campaign coming up on CBS7 News at 9. Thanks for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks to those of you joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. I'm Lauren Munt, and we start tonight with new details. Odessa High School was put into lockdown this morning and a student was shot in a parking lot. According to ECISD, a female student was shot in the foot and taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And a 15-year-old boy was arrested and charged. Because of his age, his name is not being released. He is charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault, unlawful carrying of weapons, and possession of a controlled substance. 4 other students were detained and questioned by police, but according to ECISD, they are considered victims or witnesses. According to Superintendent Dr. Scott Murray, the school itself was not a target. The students had a disagreement off campus that led to the violence that happened on campus.
Unfortunately, this is not an unusual situation. And I do say unfortunately, because this situation should be unusual. It should be, it's the type of incident that should never occur, not only on our school campuses, but at any school campus.
Dr. Murray also thanked parents, students, and staff for responding well to the lockdown. The district confirmed that there will be counselors available to speak to students, as well as additional officers on campus tomorrow. And as gun violence increases across the country, so does active shooting training. One former law enforcement officer from Midland is offering classes on gun safety and gun safety in the event that there is an active shooter. Over 10 years ago, the Guardian Training Agency opened to teach West Texans gun safety and how to handle a gun properly. At Guardian Training Agency, they offer classes from beginner and basic training all the way to active shooter training.
So we have the place, we have the facility to take care of that training, and we're just glad to be part of. I'm glad to be part of something that we can provide that to our citizens, to our places of worship, and to our schools.
Because of the rising number of gun deaths in Texas, it has inspired a $3 billion industry of active shooter training. Tragedies like the Uvalde mass shooting in 2022 and the Odessa mass shooting in 2019 have made the public more aware of the importance of how to operate a gun and have encouraged people to take classes and to keep themselves and others safe. And a scam alert out of Midland. Midland police report that someone using a 432 area code claiming that he is Sergeant James William or Sergeant Miller with MPD and saying that people have warrants out for not appearing in court, then asking people for their financial information to sort out the fines. The City of Midland and MPD are reminding others that MPD does not call the public to ask them to pay fines over the phone. That is a scam. And we are 1 week away before the filing period ends for the special election for the at-large position in City Council. Now one of the candidates is Cheston Blake. Cheston is a 20-year-old Midland College student with a love for politics. Blake wasn't born in Midland, but he was raised there. And among the issues that he wants to tackle are to make Midland more accessible for people that walk, ride bikes, or take the bus.
So I want to tackle make it safer and accessible for other modes of transportation, like public transit and cycling, and to lower the cost of living by allowing developers, loosening the zoning and restrictions that limit the supply of housing.
Blake was friends with former at-large Dan Corrales, and he says that he inspired him to get into city government. He says even if he doesn't win, he will continue to work to reach his goals of helping the community. And a red flag warning remained in effect in the Texas Panhandle today, February 26th, after crews said they fully contained a 4,000-acre grass fire on Sunday. The fire had broken out of south of Dumas in Moore County on Saturday and ballooned to 4,012 acres by the time firefighters contained it. According to the Texas A&M Forest Service, a wind advisory, a fire weather watch, a red flag warning all remained in effect for Moore County on Monday, as dry conditions heighten for the risk of rapid fire growth, the National Weather Service warned. And we've had some of those warnings here in the Permian Basin. Meteorologist Justin Lopez is here to talk a little bit more about it. Justin?
Yeah, Lauren, we did have a couple of warnings up here for our area today. We had some very hot temperatures for this time of year. Our normal high is in the 60s, upper 60s, but we got up to 86 degrees for us here in Odessa and in Midland, and 88 out there in Big Spring area, and then 86 in Alpine, 90 degrees along the Rio Grande. Those temperatures right now, however, have cooled down a little bit. We are sitting at 72 degrees in Odessa, 75 in Midland, 70 in Big Spring, 59 in Marfa is one of our cooler spots, but still very warm night is ahead of us. And those winds have calmed down as well as what we saw earlier today. There was a lot of wildfires, especially toward the Panhandle. The winds did not really help us, but luckily we are seeing those winds calm down. 7 miles per hour right now in Odessa, 9 in Midland. We got down to 7 in Fort Stockton and Alpine, and even in Marfa. But tomorrow, winds are expected to ramp back up as our next storm system makes its approach to the area. In these areas in pink, we might be seeing winds gusting over 75 miles per hour. That's prompted a high wind warning. There's also a high wind advisory for tomorrow, including the cities of Midland, Odessa, and in Big Spring, where we may see gusts up to 55 miles per hour. For the rest of this evening, expect winds to continue to calm down a little bit. We're going to see temperatures to start dropping in the 60s, 66 degrees by around 4 in the morning, 65 at 5, but still a very warm night ahead. But hold on to your hats for tomorrow because those winds are going to ramp up once again. That cold front's going to be coming in on Wednesday, and then we're going to see rain chances potentially for Thursday.
Thank you, Justin. The Permian Warrior Partnership started the Be Known campaign just 10 days ago. The goal of it is to connect all of the veterans across the Permian Basin. Poor mental health and social isolation can often spoil a veteran's return home. And the Permian Warrior Partnership aims to combat that by bringing veterans together because they have a connection and understanding of each other, unlike most people. The Be Known campaign aims to get more veterans involved with the PWP. If a veteran isn't connected with the PWP, they may not get the same connection with their community.
When you get out of the Army, you don't have a mission anymore. And when that mission goes away, you kind of lose that, drive that you're used to while you're in the military. And being around other veterans kind of helps you regain that mission.
The PWP has already connected with 600 veterans personally and over 3,000 through the newsletter. But Dobbin says that there are over 20,000 veterans in the Permian Basin, and he wants to connect all of them. And in your health headlines, Medical Center Health System is getting funding for 2 Draeger jaundice meters and other equipment for the Labor and Delivery Department, in total costing just over $17,000. The funding is coming from the Children's Miracle Network. And the 39th annual Shrimp Fest fundraiser was today. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year for the Ellen Noel Art Museum. All the proceeds generated during this event play a vital role in supporting more exhibits, expanding available classes, and contributing to the growth of the museum. The museum aims to become a versatile venue for various functions, and events like Shrimp Fest help make this vision a reality. Tonight, guests not only experience a swimmingly large amount of shrimp, but also an exciting Mardi Gras theme.
This benefits the Ellen Noel Art Museum. It helps with all of our expeditions, our Art to Kids programs, any kind of educational program that we offer to the community. It helps with all of that.
Tonight's event also had the largest attendance in Shrimp Fest history, with the museum expecting around 1,200 people. And in your local sports, the Midland Christian Mustangs are back in the TAPS 5A Final Four for the second year in a row. Saturday's victory marks head coach Chris Ryburn's 300th career win. The Mustangs look ahead and will prepare for the St. Michael's Crusaders. Both of these teams met last year in the same round, but St. Michael's got the edge. This year, Mustangs have a lot of confidence to get over that hump.
Everybody was wondering if we'd get back or not. We're glad we made it, but also we're not finished, and we're happy, but we're not necessarily happy, I guess, with just being here. We want to actually go do something.
The focus is way more internal and just about us being at our best. And so, yeah, it's definitely fresh. I think we have some things that, we want to overcome that we felt like we fell short last year. but I think that's a lot more about us than it is about them.
Tip-off for Friday's game will be 2 o'clock in Waco, and a win will advance the Mustangs to the finals. And over the weekend, the UTBB basketball teams earned huge wins. The Lady Falcons took down number 8 Texas Women's University, snapping their 15-game win streak. It was also the 21st win of the season, tying the school record in the 2010 to 2011 season and the 2012-2013 season. The men took down number 8 Dallas Baptist over the weekend to improve to 12-9 in conference. Lots of momentum for UTBB basketball heading into the final week of the regular season.
To hold a nationally ranked team to 47 points is pretty incredible, and they're All-American, to 7. And that was a big task for our entire team, but especially our post players. They did a phenomenal job on limiting her touches, and that was a huge factor for us to be successful.
It was awesome. I mean, that's one of the cool things about sports is, especially after big wins, and there's a lot that went into winning that game, and it didn't happen. The guys obviously were really excited. It was a lot of fun being able to go and celebrate in the locker room with those guys.
Be sure to tune in to CBS7 News at 10 for more First Alert sports coverage on CBS7 News at 10 with Jair Brooks Davis. And 2 conservative-led states took on social media Monday in arguments before the highest court in the land. At issue, how the First Amendment applies to social media sites. As Jared Hill reports, the court's decision could impact how millions of Americans interact on these platforms.
It's the First Amendment question for the internet age. Can the government force social media companies to carry content they've deemed objectionable?
The platforms do not have a First Amendment right to apply their censorship policies in an inconsistent manner and to censor and deplatform certain users.
Monday, the Supreme Court heard arguments in 2 cases from Florida and Texas, saying states should have a say in the matter.
It would require these social media platforms that are creating the compilation of third-party speech to fundamentally alter their product that they're offering. We think that's an infringement of speech, and the court should say so.
The Republican-led states passed their laws after Facebook and X, Twitter at the time, banned former President Donald Trump following the January 6th attack on the Capitol, concerned his posts would incite more violence. Social media sites argue they're more like newspapers and should be able to make editorial judgments. But the states say these platforms are more like telephone companies and can't kick people off. Several justices commented on how broad the laws are, and in the case of Florida's, its lack of specificity.
We're not quite sure who it covers. We're not clear exactly how these platforms work.
I might have heard the justices trying to find a way to kick this back to Florida, back to Texas, and have a more developed record before they make a big First Amendment ruling.
A decision is expected by June. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The High Court has been grappling with internet issues for a quarter century, and Justice Clarence Thompson drew laughter from the gallery when he remarked, "I've been fortunate or unfortunate to have been there for most of the development of the internet." And still ahead, NSC data shows a decrease in traffic-related deaths across the nation. We'll tell you more about those numbers next on CBS7 News at 9. And all 3 candidates for the Midland County Sheriff debated policy, procedure, and the future of MCSO last week. You can catch everything they had to say on KWWT My 30 at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Traffic deaths are now trending downward after a post-pandemic spike. A preliminary analysis by the National Safety Council shows more than 44,000 people died in traffic crashes in 2023. That's a 4% drop from 2 years ago, but it's still 13% higher than before the pandemic. The NSC says speeding, distracted driving, and impaired driving are major factors contributing to the problem.
I think at the beginning of the pandemic, we had less people driving. I think that provided some drivers the visual cue or perhaps the permission to drive faster. And unfortunately, that type of behavior has not subsided since traffic returned to our roadways. So unfortunately, that's sort of the outcomes that we're seeing on the roadways.
NSC data also shows that motor vehicle fatalities were down at least 10% in a dozen states, while 7 states and Washington, D.C. saw double-digit increases. The agency says that nearly half of all roadway fatalities occur on rural roads.
All right, everybody, get ready for some strong gusty winds for tomorrow as a cold front starts to make its way on into our area. Coming up next, we'll talk about all the details.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's meteorologist Justin Lopez.
Good evening, everybody. Well, the story of today was hot, 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 but the story of tomorrow is going to be faith, trust, and West Texas dust as we get another cold front to come into our area. But for today, we reached very high above our normal temperature for this time of year. We got up to 86 degrees in Odessa, Midland, 88 in Big Spring. We got up to 93 out in Dryden and 90 in Presidio. This is all because of a high pressure ridge that we have in the upper levels, but we are about to enter a battle of the storm systems pretty much. This ridge is still dominating our area right now, but then on the horizon we have a dip in the jet stream that will be swinging in a cold front by Wednesday morning. But looking at those temperatures right now, we're at 73 degrees in Odessa, 72 in Odessa, 73 in Monaghan, 75 in Midland, and then we are one of the cooler spots out there is Marfa with a temperature of 59 degrees right now. Those winds have tapered on down. They were pretty gusty earlier today, but they are going to be going up for tomorrow. We are at 7 miles per hour in Odessa, 9 in Midland, and 8 in Big Spring. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to see a high wind warning for these areas in pink where we may see gusts of and over 75 miles per hour. And then we are also going to have a wind advisory coming into play for tomorrow with wind gusts possible of 55 miles per hour for all these areas, including the Odessa, Midland, and Big Spring cities. And our winds, timing them out for tomorrow, it's going to be mainly an afternoon story. Starting around 12, we'll see those winds gusting over 40 miles per hour in the Guadalupe Pass area, and then spreading out toward the east, getting in some breezy conditions out here in Midland, Odessa, breezy to windy, gusting of over 30 to 40 miles per hour by the early afternoon hours, and then starting to taper on down as we go throughout the overnight hours. Now tonight we're going to see cloud coverage continue to stream on through the region. Sorry about that. And we're going to see those winds picking up for tomorrow. We're keeping a good amount of cloud coverage in our region throughout the majority of the day. And then, of course, our cold front starts to make its way in as we go into the early morning hours on Wednesday. By midday, we should have the cold front push through and maybe even a couple of showers out to the southwestern portions of the area. Highs for tomorrow, 80 degrees in Odessa, Midland, 82 in Monahans, 83 in Pecos. And then that cold front comes in and chills us down for Wednesday into the 50s and brings up those rain chances for Thursday.
A new eye-tracking AI function is allowing users to operate a car just by looking at their phone screen. What this means in your technology news next on CBS7 News at 9. An experimental eye-tracking AI function is allowing users to operate a car just by looking at their phone screen. A Chinese tech company named Honor demonstrated the technology ahead of Monday's start of the annual Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. The user started the car remotely and moved it forward and back just by using an eye control app on the company's new smartphone. The phone is connected to the vehicle's computer system via a Wi-Fi link, and the tool is already available in China.
So if you didn't want to touch the screen or for any reason, let's say you've got dirty hands or whatever, then by looking at the screen, you can then interact with the phone in a new way.
The phone is connected to the vehicle's computer system via a Wi-Fi link, and the tool is already available in China. And still ahead, Gen Z are taking part in book clubs, but it's not your mother's book club. Gen Z and millennials are putting their own spin on the reading game. Next on CBS7 News at 9. All right, before we go, gone are the days of meeting up in someone's living room, snacking on cheese, and discussing a book. Gen Z would rather gather at restaurants, dating events, breweries, and on group runs. Okay, Justin, we're both Gen Z.
Yes.
I would agree. I would like to do all of those things instead.
I like going to a restaurant a lot more. That's just like my comfort place.
I agree. I agree, and I think that's a much better spot to have a book club. I like going to people's houses, though.
You know,
I do like going to someone's house and hanging out, and it's a little more casual.
Yeah, I used to do
but
this
like
with
a
some friends.
brewery, I think is really fun. Go to Tall City Brewery and have a book club.
Yeah, well,
That sounds like a great time.
I used to get together with a group of friends. We just talk about movies, but it was
that's a movie club.
Like a movie club. We were called the Film Fiends.
Oh, I like that. I really like that. Well, so the reason that book clubs are so popular is social media. And it's been helping lead younger readers to new genres and in-person communities built around reading.
Interesting.
I like to curl up with a good book, Justin.
Oh yeah, me too. I definitely love to read. Well, speaking of reading, we're going to see some temperatures right now. We're going to be seeing some temperatures of 80 degrees tomorrow, so still really warm out there, but we're going to bring in a lot of winds. Hold on to your hats for tomorrow, because the story for tomorrow that we'll be reading is going to be Faith, Trust, and West Texas Dust.
All right, thanks for joining us for CBS 7 News at 9 on the CW. We've got more news coming up tonight at 10.